The only LinkedIn post I will ever like. Okay, wait, we need to we need to talk about LinkedIn before I even get into this. LinkedIn, LinkedIn is it's funny. Yesterday, I kept using the word what was the word I kept using? Intrinsically. This night, it's crazy. Crazy is the word I keep using tonight. So, uh, anyway, whatever. I notice these things. But honestly, LinkedIn is, I almost said worse than Twitter, but nothing is worse than Twitter. I would say it goes Twitter, then LinkedIn. And I know you're going to be like, it's called X now. Not to me, it's not. Not to me. Not to me. Um, yeah. So, LinkedIn is crazy because you have a whole bunch of people on there. Like, first of all, the whole idea of having a social media based off of like parading your resume is nuts to me. Like, completely and totally nuts. Like, the whole like sort of vanity of it all. Like, I know you can like, um, you can, I guess, make the argument. It's a weak argument in my personal opinion because it is a social media, right? This whole idea of, oh, it can help you find work, but that's not really what it's used for. I mean, if you were to break it down into a pie chart, I bet that would actually be a very minuscule part, especially since I don't even know when, like maybe before COVID, they've really been pushing the concept of creating content on LinkedIn and using, I guess, your resume to show how qualified you are, which in theory isn't bad, but you know, you start to realize that, how do I put this nicely? It's like LinkedIn was ground zero for like the grind set culture to really sort of pop off. Like, I don't think people realize just how much of a core role LinkedIn played in that entire like popularization of get up at 5:30 a.m. and like basically have every single moment of the day planned out and never rest and rest is for stupid weak people and there's 24 hours in a day, some people make it count and blah blah blah. Like, it's exhausting. Like, it's exhausting just listening to that. And I'm someone who enjoys getting things done. Like, this is, anyway, that's my little rant on LinkedIn. I'm probably not even done. It'll probably come back again in another at another point. But I just thought I should get that off my chest before reading what this post even says here. Um, okay, the only LinkedIn post I will ever like. Uh, I don't know who this Chris Donnelly guy is, but it is what it is. Oh, I post about startups, scale ups. Hold on. I post about startups, scale ups, AI, and my entrepreneurial journey. Ugh, don't even get me started on AI. Like, I went on a whole tangent on yesterday's stream about predictive text and all of that. So, just check it out. It's still on the Twitch VODs. It'll be down in like a couple days because Twitch does automatically take them down after a certain period of time. In which case, then it'll then be on the YouTube. It's already on the YouTube. I timestamped it earlier today. Anyway, people don't quit jobs. They quit poor managers, poor compensation, poor culture, lack of growth, lack of support. If you're losing top talent, it's a sign something needs fixing. Is this likes? I'm assuming. Or just any one of these things? A thumbs up, a clap, and a heart. I don't know the difference between them. Don't educate me because I don't care. All right. 100% this. The only time I've ever heard someone like nobody wants to work, where it wasn't a red flag on them personally was at a nonprofit, and even then it was a nobody wants to work for nonprofit wages. Though they were above minimum wage, still never going to be great money. Edit, the nonprofit person was in a single locations management, not corporate. Generally, screw corporate of most companies for profit or not. Generally, screw corporate of most companies. Oh, of most companies for profit or not. Okay. Currently work at a nonprofit that hemorrhages employees like there's no tomorrow. It's mostly because of poverty wages. Average salary is 35 to 45K. Wait, that's pretty interesting because they're like nonprofit wages will never be high. But there are very few jobs where the wage is higher than that. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. And crazy high caseloads. Meanwhile, our CEOs, and I'm not making this up, 125,000 a year plus. They get 10,000 car allowance plus they get over 10,000 annually dumped into a retirement account. The rest of the executive team all get anywhere from 100,000 to 150,000 with bonuses as well. I figure that our executive team alone accounts for almost $1 million of our annual budget, while they also complain about us being chronically underfunded. That is crazy. Is that what's happening in nonprofit organizations though? That's see what I bro, capitalism is a disease. I mean, if capitalism didn't exist to begin with, we wouldn't need nonprofit organizations, but you see how capitalism will infiltrate every every facet of our existence, even in places that are supposed to be in quotations like a safe space from it. Like that is I mean, that's kind of obvious, right? Simply because of the fact that quite literally everything requires a monetary token. You can't opt out of capitalism even if you don't agree with it. Um, and that's a fallacy that a lot of people really fail to understand. That's why I personally don't like the phrase or phrases similar to this, like champagne socialist, where it's like, because everything requires a monetary token, you have to participate in capitalism, even if you are very critical of it and you don't want it to exist and you're actively working to eradicate it in the way that you can. Um, Whether it be, through original work or, through collaborative effort or legislative or civil or even just community outreach, whatever your tactic is, it's really interesting to see people, really not really fundamentally understanding that even if you're against capitalism, even if you're vocal against the way the monetary market system is inescapable for us right now in current present time, that you will still have to earn, not just earn money, but spend money, manage money. You have no choice because you are quite literally chained to the system. Even though you're trying to change it, you can't opt out of capitalism right now as it currently stands, right? Because there would have to be something that would replace that. And in order for that to happen, literally everybody collectively, we as a species have to be on board for that. And right now, we're just not there. So terms like that really irritate me. Um, anyway, let's continue forward here. Reminds of a nonprofit I worked through. It was basically a corpo cult masquerading as an abusive staffing company, masquerading as a nonprofit. Whoa. Wait, I have actually never come across the term corpo cult. I don't know why, but that is giving like inspiration for like I thought of Cyberpunk 2077. The fact that, okay, I'm mentioning a game that I never played and that I don't know the story of. Um, so like, don't come for me. But it's giving. You know when everyone's like, okay, this is one thing that's so annoying. You know when um like there's a very clear message trying to be conveyed about the state of society, right? And things that we should avoid. Um, you know, avoid going into and uh, conducting ourselves in a way that's preventative of us sort of delving into um, things that will just end up being destructive for us in the long run. Whenever a piece of media is created trying to, I guess, alert or introduce an audience to a certain, to that kind of ideology, or to I guess introduce a new school of thought or whatever. It's what's so sad is that the ironic thing is graphics and stuff have improved so well that the game will look really good. And then everyone will be like, "Oh, I wish cyberpunk was real." It's like, do you understand what you're saying? Like, I want to live in a cyberpunk society. It's so aesthetic. Like, you need help. Like, I like it it didn't it didn't it didn't compute. It didn't infiltrate. It didn't sit and stew and marinate. It didn't infuse. It didn't do anything. It just collected dust and evaporated. Like, wow. Um that's really sad. Mm, yeah. Anyway, that's what Corporal Cop made me think of. It made me think of Cyberpunk 2077, even though I've never played the game, but it would make an interesting game if it was around the idea of that. Corpo cult. Is that going to stay with me? Who knows? Find out in a couple years. Okay. They would basically give you training. Quality depends on who they hired for it. So they would hire third party people to train you for a job that they did not do themselves? Hmm. Okay. Um quality depends on who they hired for it. We got lucky. Place you at other companies as a contract to hire. Whoa. Pay you below poverty wages. Be constantly up your ass about things they had no role in and pay their officers six-figure salaries. Oh my God. Not saying they're all bad, but there's definitely a lot of nonprofits that are in all reality very successful businesses feeding off their employees. That is crazy. Yeah, in Texas they wouldn't even get 35K at a nonprofit. I quit recently. It was a government job with a good salary and 2 days of home office. The problem was that I had nothing to do for weeks. Oh, I've actually heard of this phenomenon, right? Called, oh, good evening. Thanks for joining again. I've actually heard of this though, of this idea of like they call it BS jobs, where essentially, you know, they don't do anything. Like they hire you for a position because I don't know. I guess they need to fill the role or whatever. But it's like an in between job. I can't remember. I do believe Karl Marx might have talked about this. Um, I can't recall it off the top of my head, but it is sort of just swimming in the peripheral of my mind right now. Um, right, this might sound like a dream to some, but it made me go crazy. I'm 35 and well educated. I wanted to change things and have an impact. That's exactly what it is, right? But I ended up just waiting for the days to end. Okay, this is what's really interesting. If you stay in an organization, if you stay in any organization, corporate or nonprofit, you will find that the way that you're able to use your abilities or talents will be up to however the company, nonprofit or not, um, I guess, sort of facilitates their order of business. Um, I find that it's interesting to see people who want to make an impact not just forge their own path. It's I mean, obviously it's scary, right? It is scary. Um, you know, I can attest to a certain level of fear in that, but I mean, in order to have an impact, you do have to have a direct connection with what it is that you're doing, and only you can decide what that point of contact is, um, which is it's a difficult realization for many because we're so indoctrinated from a young age to believe that the only way we can exist and the only way we can give of ourselves to society is to first give ourselves to an organization under some sort of a hierarchical bureaucratic structure. Um, but you just end up being a puppet for them. And if they decide that, you know, a certain aspect or a certain point of contention or whatever have you, anything really is not a priority, then it's not a priority to you either, regardless of how you personally feel about it. So it's interesting that she's saying this. Um, yeah, so I ended up just waiting for the days to end. Still, I'm wondering sometimes if the problem is actually me. I have never had a job for longer than 2 years and never found employment in my never found enjoyment in my everyday work. It's not just you, sis. It's not just you. I said sis, and I don't even know if this person's a woman. I don't mean to assume. I'm just saying sis to say sis. Same. I just left my job that had great pay because the culture was horrible. I'm now reevaluating what I really want to do in life now at 32. This post is so accurate, it hurts. Years, I never held one longer than 3 months. Oh my goodness. Um, let's see what they're saying here. I had a temp job for a month where the project got canceled the day before I started. They kept me on anyway while the VP fought to get the project back. I had literally zero to do all day, and this being the early 2000s, surfing the web and reading books was verboten as well. I do not know this word. Let me look it up real quick. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I don't want to assume and I don't want to assume and think that it's a typo, but I'm just gonna look it up real quick. Verboten. Forbidden. That's what I thought. Okay. Um, I'd do the rounds every hour asking for anything to do and spend the rest of my days zoned out staring out the window. Oh, that's the worst. Worst job I've ever had. Sitting there for 8 hours a day with literally nothing you can do. This was just before smartphones got big. Just sucked. Okay, well, the thing is, right? I don't think a smartphone would have saved you either because instead of staring out the window, right, and doing nothing, then you're just like on your phone scrolling for hours, which I guess for some people is mind-numbingly inconsequential, but I mean, and you are getting paid, but like still, if you want to make an impact, if you want to feel like your days and your time and your efforts are worth something, it's not going to matter what you do to pass the time. Okay, let's see here. People like working when they have good managers, good culture, good growth, adequate pay, good employee benefits, bonuses, incentives. Aren't working a million hours a week and being called outside of work to just get on track and check that one thing on that one case for the Anderson account who is currently on a golf course in California. with the delegates from the international division. I hate this paragraph so much. International division of the company who are visiting from Hong Kong. Who needs that one sentence updated right now? That's funny. That is so funny. Oh my god. Good actual buy. That was a good one. Anyway, sadly, the crappy managers with poor retention don't care that everybody hates them or quits. Well, because that's the thing, right? Because here's the thing: managerial positions, whether they're under another boss or whether they are the boss, like the head honcho in charge of CEO or whatever, CFO, whatever the hell, um, they are taught to not care about how people think of them. They are rewarded. It's almost like to prove that you are most qualified for that type of a position, you have to you have to prove that have no connection to your own humanity, that you will not fall, I guess, victim to people's attempts at appealing to your humanity, your empathy, or gaining any kind of sympathy from you. So, I mean, the result of that is going to be managers not caring whether you hate them, and it's a sad reality. It really is. Yeah. However, it's a great indicator during an interview if you find out they have high turnover. Best way I've heard it phrased is that people don't quit jobs, they quit workplaces. People will leave a toxic workplace where they aren't valued faster than they'll leave a profession they've trained in or received a degree for. They just find better, or at a minimum, less bad. More truth has never been spoken on LinkedIn. This is the only truth that's ever been spoken on LinkedIn. LinkedIn, as I went on a tangent earlier, LinkedIn would be the worst platform if Twitter didn't exist. Like, I can check off 4 of those things. I'm assuming they're talking about one of the 4 of these. There's only 5 in total. What? Oh my god! You know what? I bet most jobs fall into this category, but people legitimately, they can't move up or they can't move out. Like, that's that is very, very, very unfortunate. Right. It's literally why I left my last job. Our executive leadership was content to allow us to continually hemorrhage talent that was crucial to our culture and the work itself. That's another thing that I really hate, when managers and people in positions of power in these structures, they fail to recognize that the things that make the environment, even if the job itself completely totally sucks and you feel like a total moron, the environment itself is made by the people who are there. And this idea of like, like, why is the culture different now, or why is the atmosphere different, why are people less productive, why are people why has anything about, I guess what you would call the culture changed? It's because, well, the people aren't there anymore. And I don't know why managers don't view that as a valuable aspect of, I guess you could say, I don't want to use the term employment portfolio, because who the hell am I? But like, ew. Anyway, I was a recruiter, and they saw me as a solution to filling in gaps that simply could not be filled. Literally, I mean, you can't ones and zeros it, right? Like, you can't just think that. It's like the same thing with, like, I don't know why I thought of dating apps. I've never downloaded one, but it's one of those things where it's like, you can't remove the humanity from human interaction. Like, I don't understand where people think that there's like this formula, or like this, I don't know, like this equation that can solve problems that are caused by removing humans from human exchange. Like, it's not, it's it's I'm done. There was no direction or guidance or really anything every time someone would leave. They were happy for them to move on to something, but it was delusional. No, it usually is. It usually is delusional. It was almost as though they were saying, see, what a wonderful opportunity for them to spread our culture and our work ethic, rather than seeing the fact that they were leaving a sinking ship. Recruiting is only part of it. Retention has to be a priority. That's crazy. That's so crazy. I mean, isn't that all ego? This idea of like, you know, evangelizing other workplaces or workplace cultures with talent that will obviously have you on their resume, and you're thinking to yourself like, oh, like they're going to go over there, and therefore that company is going to think so good of us and so well of us. And it's like, okay, but your talent is leaving. Like, is that not, you know what? Let's move on.